Well, our air defenses are designed to prevent any penetration of our airspace by enemy fighter jets, and essentially they went into action when there was such a penetration.
Do you have any idea why this penetration has occurred?
Well, we have an idea. We don't think it's a deliberate assault, but our defenses go into action automatically. You know, Israel is not the size of Australia. It's about, I think, I don't know, maybe 1% of your territory or a little more. So it's a tiny country, and we don't have the time or the privilege to wait and check, because they could be above Tel Aviv or above Jerusalem in literally in less than minutes. So that's why we have this procedure. Apparently a Syrian fighter aircraft penetrated our airspace. We shot it down.
In a week, you'll be meeting the US President Barack Obama at the White House for the first time in 7 months. Relations between the US and Israel have been at a low point. What message will you be taking to the President about the operation to tackle Islamic State?
Well, I don't accept the embedded premise in your question. First of all, President Obama and I have met more than, I think he said more. He's met me more than any other leader, and for the last 3 months, we've been engaged here in a real tough battle against the terrorists that afflict all of us, including you, Australia. So we meet quite regularly, and I look forward to our meeting next week. We have many items on our agenda. The most important one is this battle against militant Islam, in this case, the Islamic State. We support the action that the United States is leading, along with so many other countries. We feel we're on the front lines of this, because militant Islamists attack us from every side, whether it's Hezbollah in Lebanon or Al-Qaeda on the Golan Front, or Hamas and Islamic Jihad supported by Iran in the south. These are all our enemies, but these are all your enemies, and they're also the enemies of the United States. That will be item number 1 on the agenda. Item number 2 is the quest of one of these forces led by Iran, the Islamic State of Iran, that seeks to arm itself with nuclear weapons. This is something that will endanger the world. And item 3 is how can we work for a durable peace, a realistic peace that could endure given the great storms that sweep through our region. I think it's a pretty hefty schedule, don't you think?
On the prospects for peace between Israel and the Palestinians, do you still believe in a two-state solution? And if so, why do you continue to expand your land holdings in the West Bank, a move that the US State Department calls counterproductive?
Yes, I do believe in 2 states for 2 peoples. No, we don't expand the actual land involved, which is actually quite small. This is our historic homeland. We have our claims, the Palestinians have their claims, and we should be sitting around a table and negotiating it. As far as our historic claim, you know, I think that this is recognized actually by Australians. I appreciate, first of all, the commitment to Israel's right to self-defense, which Prime Minister Abbott, and I have to say a bipartisan Australian polity, has given us that support in our fight with the terrorists of Hamas. I appreciate that deeply. Secondly, I think there is a bond between Israel and Australia. We're celebrating now 1914, 100 years ago, when the Anzacs came to what is now the land of Israel, helped throw out the Turks, helped in the charge of the Light Horse to liberate Beersheba and pave the way to Jerusalem. We recognize that. You knew then, as you now, our historic attachment to this land. But we also recognize there's another people in this land, the Palestinians. We want to make peace with them. I think it is possible in a spirit of goodwill and compromise, and I hope we find it.
Well, Prime Minister, the former US President Bill Clinton was captured on tape last week. The former Prime Minister Bill Clinton was captured on tape last week agreeing with the assertion that you are not the man who's going to make a peace deal. Based on your performance so far, he's correct, isn't he?
Well, I will make peace that will hold. I will make a peace that will not crash on the rocks of illusion. We have to make sure that it's a peace that Israel can defend. Because if we just walk out, as we walked out of Gaza, we just walked out of Gaza, Hamas and backed by Iran walked in, we got 15,000 rockets on our head. We walked out of Lebanon, Hezbollah, backed by Iran, walked in, we got another 15,000 rockets on our head. Imagine that. Imagine 30,000 rockets fired on Australia.
But so I apologise for interrupting you, Prime Minister. It's very difficult with this delay. But can I just put to you that how will you have a two-state solution if you're not prepared to negotiate with Hamas?
Well, I don't negotiate with people who want to destroy me. You don't negotiate. I think that was a position that Churchill espoused in World War II, and I admire him very much. People who are out to destroy you are not candidates for negotiation. You make peace, but only with an enemy that wants peace. An enemy that wants to eradicate you from the face of the earth, there's nothing to negotiate about. We want to talk to those Palestinians who reject Hamas. That's why I've asked President Abbas to reject Hamas and espouse peace. You can't have Hamas and peace. You have to choose one or the other. We choose peace.
But you have to negotiate with who is the representative of 1.8 million Gazans, and that is Hamas. Otherwise, there is no prospect for a two-state solution.
Yeah. Hamas is not the representative. Hamas is their jailer. Hamas has oppressed them. There's only one election in Gaza, once. After that, there are no elections, there are executions. Hamas executed dozens of Palestinians who don't agree with them during the last war that they forced on their people, using them as civilian shields. And when people protested, they put a bullet in their heads. No, they didn't slit their throats. They just put a bullet in the back of their heads with hooded executioners. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? They don't represent anyone in Gaza. They rule them with an iron fist. This is a terrorist tyranny. I will not accord them any legitimacy.
Prime Minister, do you regret the alienation? Do you regret the alienation of some of your allies around the world, particularly the US, due to the way you conducted your recent operation in Gaza?
I think the US supported us consistently. I appreciate that very much. They understand what it is when you have terrorists who take over a city like Gaza, take over approximately 2 million people, fire rockets from schools, homes, hospitals, fire rockets, thousands of rockets at us. What would you do if thousands of rockets were fired from an area right next to you, from schools and so on? Would you say, well, we can't do anything in response? Of course you will. You would attack. Thousands of rockets falling on Canberra, on Sydney, on Melbourne, on Perth. Thousands of rockets. You'd say, well, we can't do anything? Of course, you try to target the rocketeers, as we did, and there are some incidental civilian casualties, and each one of them is tragic. We didn't seek to harm a single civilian. But it's Hamas's tactic of using civilians as a human shield that is a war crime. That's what should be condemned, not Israel, a democracy seeking to defend itself in the most moral way and responsible way. If we allow that to be reversed, there is no defense against terrorists.
Prime Minister, we very much appreciate your time this evening. Thank you very much.